no. There's a limit. You're so great.
So what it is you've got some people applying for people.
Thank you. Yeah, right. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So good evening to all of you who are here. I appreciate your attendance and being here tonight for our council meeting. Also, welcome to our Facebook family that's watching by way of Facebook Live. We appreciate y'all taking the time to be a part of this as well. We enjoy our council meeting times and the ability that we have to have a public opportunity to work through what we're doing as a council. And also, we appreciate the feedback that we receive along the way. So council meetings are fun times for us. So thank you for your attendance and your willingness to participate. So this will be our work session, May the 1st, 2017, starting at approximately 5:30. I'm usually always a couple of minutes behind on starting. We have a full agenda tonight with things that we need to get done that probably will require us to keep a good schedule and to maintain our agenda. So we might, like when we get to the end, when we have our discussion time, this may be the week that we limit it just to the things that are on the agenda. Typically we don't do that, but we may do on our time. So be flexible with me in that, and we'll just kind of go as we go through this. We'll kind of go along the way with that, and I appreciate your willingness to work with us on that. Okay, so we will call our work session to order, and at the beginning, Roman numeral 5 is the approval of the minutes. Council, y'all have had a minute to review those and look through them. Do you have any changes, any additions or deletions that you think may need to be to the minutes as they're presented? Look good?
That's good.
Okay. I have a question about working through the difference between our work session and a general session. My proclamation for the Epsilon Sigma Alpha Week, is that done during the general session or during the work session?
Most of the time it's the work session.
Work session? Okay. We'll maintain as well then. All right. I'm going to read the proclamation, and tell you what, why don't we just step out and we'll do the presentation. I'll read the proclamation and we'll just do it right now. Is that okay with y'all? And if you want to make your picture, let's just do it now since it's a work session too. But we'll start, let's meet up here so that we can be on the microphone, and then I'll present you with this. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Am I on here?
I'm gonna take several that way. Go up and down. Okay.
Got it? I'll tell you what, we'll start with the picture and then I'll read the proclamation. So I'm going to do the handshake and then I'll pray for you. Okay?
All right.
There you go.
1, 2, 3. Is everybody 20?
Look, dude, I heard you. You were taking pictures all the time. Okay, I want to read this proclamation. National Epsilon Sigma Alpha Week, whereas the members of Epsilon Sigma Alpha contribute more than 500,000 personal service hours to local causes and charities, and whereas the members of Epsilon Sigma Alpha also raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for local causes and charities, and whereas the members of Epsilon Sigma Alpha are celebrating their 45th anniversary of the adoption of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital as an international project for their organization, and whereas the members of Epsilon Sigma Alpha have raised over $225 million in cash and pledges to support the workers of St. Jude Research Hospital, and whereas the members of Epsilon Sigma Alpha have dedicated themselves to making their communities and the world a better place for over 80 years, and whereas the members of Epsilon Sigma Alpha encourage other caring individuals to join them in the pursuit of bringing good people together to good things. And whereas this week of May 1 through 6, 2017 has been proclaimed National Epsilon Sigma Alpha Week, therefore I, Carrie Underwood, Mayor of Tuscumbia, Alabama, do hereby proclaim May 1 through May 6, 2017 to be Epsilon Sigma Alpha Week in Tuscumbia, Alabama, and give additional support and congratulations to the efforts of all members of Epsilon Sigma Alpha who live and work in the betterment of our community of Tuscumbia, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and also to others in need. This is signed the first day of May 2017. What a great organization. And thank you all, not only for the hours contributed, which mean a lot, but also to the time, to this particular, and all the things that y'all support. So I am grateful, I'm happy for this, and I'm grateful for all the things y'all do for us.
Thank you.
That is yours.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate the picture taken too. Yeah. Okay, next on the agenda for Roman numeral 9 is the discussion for the petition of annexation of Benjamin Douglas and Ashley Wilson, who live at 2197 Old Memphis Road. You have in your packet the information along with maps that show exactly where the property is, already adjoining to our city limits. And I'll read just that one paragraph. The undersigned petition the governing body of the city of Tuscumbia, Alabama, to annex the property described herein to the said municipality, and request that the governing body of Tuscumbia propose, consider, and adopt the ordinance assenting to the annexation of the property described herein. So he is petitioning for annexation into the city limits. What's roughly a time frame from assuming that this goes through, if it's passed, what's the rough time frame of the adoption of and him being considered a citizen?
Most of the work's been done. Tonight's the starting point.
Okay.
He made a request to you in writing, I believe, and then they sent over the petition, map, and the rest of the information. So tonight will be a vote for y'all to decide on the petition whether or not to accept it.
Yes, sir.
We'll also serve the first reading of the ordinance, and then in 2 weeks there will be a ordinance proposed, and then the
Comes back to the council at that time.
well, the ordinance we proposed in 2 weeks, at which
Okay.
time we all make a final vote on the ordinance whether or not to adopt. And then at that time, if you pass, it will be published, and upon first publication of the ordinance, he would be considered to be a member of the city, Tuscumbia.
Okay.
So 2 weeks and a day.
Okay, 2 weeks. I got you. Okay.
with approval.
Do you have any questions about Mr. Wilson, or any question for as far as the steps in place for this procedure to be completed? Everybody like it? Okay. Okay, next we have a discussion presentation for Retail Strategies Business Recruitment Company. I want to say, as you're passing those out, that when I was running for office, one of the important milestones that I want to accomplish within my time frame here is that thank you, sir, is that we become able to extend and grow our sales tax base. And that being the case, we can either make attempts to do it of our own fruition and abilities, or we can specifically hire a company that specializes in it. And I'm inclined to believe that a specialist is more important, or not more important, but more capable of doing certain things than the rest of us. So that being the case, this is one of the companies that I've spent some time with, and I felt like it was the time for us to bring him and his company here for the council to see, to hear what you have to propose and how we can get from point A to point B. Because for us, it's all about that journey, of getting from A to B. And so this is an important piece of what I want to do as mayor, whether I be one term or more. This is important for me. So I appreciate you taking the time to come up from Birmingham to visit with us. So that being your intro, have at it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Is this where I'm supposed to stand?
Yes, sir. That's where you're supposed to stand.
All right, well, thank you all so much for having me here tonight. I really appreciate the time and the privilege of being here to discuss the opportunities within this community as well as my company. My name is Matthew Petro. I'm Chief Development Officer of Retail Strategies. Our firm was started to do exactly what I'm doing right now, which is partner with communities to help you attract new retail and restaurant businesses to your market. We're not here to cannibalize businesses. We're here to complement. When I met with the work with 132 communities from South Florida to California. And what you have downtown is what communities ask me for everywhere I go, is, hey, how can you help me get the steakhouse? How can you help me get a place that serves alcohol at night? How can you help me get whatever, bars, restaurants, boutiques, etc. And what you have downtown with the entrepreneurship, with what you have going on, I can't help you build that. That is something that simply comes because of leadership, because of community. What I can help you with is national and regional retail. And we work with 3 communities in the state of Alabama that are Main Street communities: Anniston, Alabama, Coleman, Alabama, and Fort Payne, Alabama, and have had numerous successes there. But our process starts with market analysis, taking the deepest dive into this community that is available, and then taking those data points, taking your real estate assets, putting a plan around them, and then we dedicate real estate professionals who have recruited retailers to the state of Alabama, restaurants to the state of Alabama, to go out and meet with them, to leverage the contacts that we have, and put this market in front of them and say, here's the site that makes the most sense for you, what do you think? We are not a part of the real estate transaction in the market. That is done by the brokers, developers, et cetera, who are working here and represent the land, or the direct property owner, depending on how he or she would like to work. So what our job is to understand who the targeted businesses are, go after them, and then when there's interest in the market, hand it off to the appropriate person for them to work out the details. We will be as involved as they would like us to be. In some cases, they'll sign a non-disclosure agreement, and they'll go dead silent. Sometimes they'll include us in that NDA and say, we would love for you to help us throughout the entire process. It just depends on the retailer, it depends on the property, and it depends on the project. One of the unique things that we do for our client communities is we represent you at trade shows. Currently, there are about 12 to 15 per year that ICSC, which is the International Council of Shopping Centers, and Retail Live, which are the 2 predominant retail industry conferences, logos or brands each year. The best one is ICSC Recon, which is May 21st and 23rd of this year. There's about 37,000 attendees at that show. And then the next best one, which probably is the best for this community, is ICSC Southeast, which is in Atlanta every year. It's between October and November, depending on how they schedule it. It's always at the end of October or early November. And essentially, there's about 7,000 people that attend that show, and it's just the people that you want to talk to. It's just the people that are expanding in the Southeast that are looking for markets like Tuscumbia. So that's in a nutshell what we do. I've provided you some materials here just about retail and what it means to you, and et cetera. Really what I want to draw your attention to is page 11, and I'm not going to go over this entire document. I got
Thank you.
6 pages I want to talk with you about. So I've reviewed this market. I've spent probably 6 hours driving the community from last week to today, and just looking at all the areas, not just looking at Tuscumbia, but looking at the Quad Cities, and then finding, hey, where are people going to shop? What retailers are here already? What retailers are missing? Where would you locate a national, regional tenant, et cetera? Through our conversations through my conversations with the mayor, your opportunity is to increase tax revenues, because sales tax is the lifeblood of your general revenue fund. Is very important to you. The ability to create jobs, to improve the overall quality of life, and to attract new complementary business is going to help the market grow, help the entrepreneurs that are in this community. And that's really what I see as your major opportunity. But your challenge, if you'll flip to the next page, is you lack the resources. So our company spends over $200,000 a year on data analytics, GIS systems, things that would bore you to death, but they're very important to have, as well as professional human resources who have the connections, time, and experience, which are the other 3 components that always are missing within city halls. So our solution, again, I just described, it's surrounding the resources, connections, time, which is the challenges, with the process that works. It's understanding who the community is, identifying the target businesses, putting professionals who have relationships with those businesses around the community to go out and recruit them to the market. One of the key things, as you know about retail and restaurants, they change every day. Right now, Q1 is all about closures. That's when all the retailers announce closures. There wasn't a larger amount of closures this year than there previously had been. There's a lot that goes into that, whether it's bad real estate, bad concepts. It really just depends retailer to retailer. But the good news is that consumer confidence is at a high since research, that's not what we do. Certainly, we use it as a tool in the toolbox, but here's, and the reason why I'm coming to you is because I want you to know that I've studied the market, that I know there's opportunity here. So what I did, and this is the creepiest thing that I can do, is I did a mobile data study, so I tracked people that went to the Foodland, or just down the street grocery store, and where they came from in the past 6 months. So you'll see a heat map right here on page number 14 of where they're coming from. It's very interesting to look at. And then if you'll look on page 15 directly to your right, you'll see on the bottom right-hand corner, I kind of drew a preliminary trade area. I'm not going to draw everything simply because there are other grocery stores that would compete with that one. So you're not drawing that entire area, but you're seeing where people are coming from. And if you're a local entrepreneur here in the downtown, it's probably because they came to see one of these entrepreneurs and they stopped at that grocery store to get a Coke or to get something. That's
So red means they started here and shopped.
Red means the highest density of consumers, and that's a 1 mile block.
Yeah,
So it's 1 mile on 1 mile block. So you see the density of the red is right.
yeah.
So within that trade area is about 28,000 people. Median age is slightly higher than the national average, and then household income is about $10,000 less than national average. We talk about median incomes because that's the most accurate of what is being spent in the market. That's what retailers look at. Developers will show the average because it's typically a higher number. They're trying to market. Gap analysis, so that's if you flip the page, that's the number of dollars leaving the market on an annual basis being spent outside the market. So that's $51 million. Again, that's just preliminary. That is not final. In addition, that does take into account online sales. Right now, nationally, online sales depend on what category you're looking at, can be anywhere from 8 to 10%. So you'll never recoup that. Hopefully, you'll be able to recoup that through legislation in the future. But as of today, unless they have a brick and mortar presence in the state of Alabama, you don't see any sales tax.
Right.
In addition, we look at a peer analysis, so that's looking at an apples-to-apples comparison of this community to other communities from a 10-minute drive time perspective. And essentially, I've identified 5 peer markets in the state of Alabama. Those peer markets have 41 restaurants in totality that you don't have in this market. They have 5 sporting goods stores and 21 clothing and shoe stores. So what I'm telling you is that there are retailers that are attracted to markets that are similar to yours in this state, but they aren't here. By no means am I saying 41 restaurants are wrong.
Right.
But it gives us a targeted list to identify, okay, which ones of these are already in the vicinity that'll say to us, hey, distance tolerance, we don't want to cannibalize our own sales. But
Right.
there are some that I've already identified that do not have a presence up here. So our job will be to make this market stand out. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things that I'll tell you is that if you wanted to move forward with our company, we would not work with a competing market. We would be your partner and have no conflict of interest. So know that. And then there's a lot of other pages in here that I'd love for you to look at your own leisure. By no means do I want to sit here and talk about it, but I understand that you guys want to be a Main Street community.
Yes, sir.
And then we have, I provided the mayor 3 references to our 3 communities in this state that are Main Street, as well as to the president of Main Street, who we work with on a regular basis on the market she's working in, because again, we're here to complement the efforts of downtown to maximize the opportunities in this market. But I know you got a lot to talk about tonight, so I'm going to stop and let y'all ask me questions.
I just want to point out one thing, and then I want the council to ask you some questions. One of the things I talked about was Tuscumbia needs to have 2 personalities in the retail industry. One personality is our downtown, the walkability, the historic, the destination quaintness of the downtown. The other personality needs to be the newer, box top, national type retail. So you have both at the same time. And successful towns have those. And so that's kind of why we have leaned toward having a presence with the Alabama Main Street program, as well as what you offer. And I'm intrigued by hearing how y'all work together, how you've done that in 3 communities that are somewhat local. And so that has intrigued me. But I certainly want us to proceed down the path where we embrace both of those different types of retail personalities,
Absolutely.
for lack of a better way to say it.
And just to give you a few brief success stories, Aniston's been our client for 4 months, so we are just in the discovery process with them, about to get out of that. Coleman, Alabama's been our partner for a little over a year now. We've helped recruit Academy Sports as well as Harbor Freight and Tools. And Fort Payne, Alabama, they just renewed we had a 3-year contract with the community. They renewed
Are you comfortable talking about the contract?
Absolutely.
Like what we talked
As
about?
long as you are.
I'm okay. I want them to know. Yeah, I want the council to know what you proposed and,
Our contract is about $45,000 per year. We broke it out, I believe, 45,000 for the first year, 40,000 for the second, and 40,000 for the third. The way that we look at that is, if you wanted to hire somebody to make phone calls to cold call with no resources, that's probably how much you have to pay. That's no track record of success. You're gonna be hard pressed to find any community of your size that has done that and been successful. If they have, that person probably left, because if they're that good at putting a deal together, they're gonna go to the private sector really quick. But that's all inclusive. There is no additional cost outside of that unless it's something that is completely outside of the scope of our services, in which case we would have to get your approval. The contract is year to year. I would tell you that if you aren't committed to seeing it through 3 years to save your money, truly, there is nothing you can do from a retail real estate perspective in the first year. Coleman, that's an example where those two retailers were interested in the market, and we helped push the ball across the finish line. That is 100% accurate. I'm not here to try to blow smoke and say that we're going to have 5 retailers open up at the end of this year. If there's 5 retailers that are considering the market, and we're helping them able to push that across the finish line, great. At the end of each year, you're going to know that, one, you're going to have more conversations with retailers and restaurants than you do right now. You're going to know more about retail real estate and how you can position yourself to attract them to this community. Your entrepreneurs in Main Street will have better resources, better information, because the analysis that we do not only helps us recruit, but it helps local businesses as well, and we'll work with local businesses. If they want to call us, we want to answer. The issue with local businesses is typically can't get them, they have to come to you, and so that's why we create great partnerships with our client as well as the chamber, if the chamber is active.
they are, yeah.
That's perfect
Yeah.
to work. We do report to you on a regular basis. The way that our partnerships works is you have one point of contact at the city, you have 2 points of contact at Retail Strategies, and we have a online platform called Basecamp, which is username, password protected. Everything we do will be posted there, so we report to you on a regular basis to let you know who we're talking to, what's being said, what are the next steps, as well as we understand the need to report to the public what the money you've invested up in us has been spent on and how we're progressing. We do that in a very, hey, we're talking with 5 grocery stores, we're talking with 4 restaurants. With what we do, we can't have anything, we can't have, hey, Chick-fil-A's coming to the market, that's gonna just mess up everything until they're actually coming.
Right.
So we
Yeah,
have to report to you in a very economic development fashion, very
Yeah.
confidential manner.
Yeah, I understand that. Have any questions, anybody?
You said, our downtown area is beyond, what most places you go to.
Yes, sir.
And we're very proud of that. And we are with the Main Street, trying to get in that going with y'all. Y'all will be citywide, not just downtown area-wide.
That's correct.
Okay,
Very correct.
so where we might need our help on, like say we do on 72, that area, we've got the land, we've got the resources, we got everything there. That's what we can go there. But if there is somebody interested in downtown, we'll still,
Absolutely.
okay, yeah.
Absolutely. But we look at the entirety of the market, and that's what makes us so relevant to retailers, is that we're not just coming in and talk about one site. And if that site doesn't work, then I'm going to talk about another site that I have somewhere else. If that site doesn't work and there's another site in the market that we can show them, we're going to show it to them. As well as, we're going to call on the property owners. We're going to call on the property owners that own property in this community, whether they live here, whether they live somewhere else, and say, we've been hired by the city to do this, and tell them what I just told you, and ask them if they're willing to sell, if they are selling, if they have it listed with a broker. Obviously, if we drive by, I know the corner of 72 and Woodmont, there's a sign, we'll call that individual. We're not
Right,
gonna call the property owner.
right,
That's who
right.
represents the land. That's a great question.
Now, one more thing, like on page number 6, you kind of got it broke down, businesses from like, your top tier, your Home Depots, your Targets, that kind of area. After you do an analyst, this whole Tuscumbia, you can pretty well gauge what companies would be interested and which ones would be like a shot in the dark, because everybody wants to throw out names. We need this here.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, I've heard
Trader
those.
Joe's, Whole Foods,
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
so
Those three.
you will hear those every time.
Yes, sir.
Now, after you do y'all study, you can pretty well weed out what is non-acceptable and those that's gonna be pretty, not easy to get, but the ones we can
We have a
get,
shot at.
yeah, we're shot at.
Absolutely.
So we're not, we're not a grand gender, we're gonna have,
Wasting our
wasting time on somebody and everybody else. So you,
We're not here to waste anybody's.
Okay.
We're here to tell you what reality is.
okay,
The reason why Fort Payne has renewed us for an additional year is because we never told them anything that was inaccurate. We didn't say, yeah, we're gonna go after IKEA. IKEA's never come. Our job is to tell you what's realistic, because the one thing you don't want to have happen, and you guys know this, we don't want a business to open up and close. That is
No.
not what we're trying to do. Now, certainly, does that happen because of bad management or the company goes out of business? Yeah, it happens. But that's not our aim. Our aim is to identify what retailers should be here, what retailers will be successful here, and that's where we focus our time and efforts. And if you, we always say this, we always get, hey, will you just call so-and-so? We can't do that, because it's like if I was a car dealer and you wanted an SUV and I kept showing you convertibles, you don't trust me anymore. We have the retailer's trust because when we approach them, it's with a site that meets their site selection criteria. So if you say, hey, would Whole Foods look at our market? We'll tell you no, and here's why. And we'll show you their site selection criteria. So we're not just saying no, we're definitely gonna engage in the conversation with you and let you know the difference of why they would locate in this type of market, but not this type of market.
so after y'all's time here, you can pretty well give us a small list.
I
And
can
kind
give you a small list today.
Cause that's kind of, the whole grand, get the whole Outlook thing and actually see names that we could actually bring in, I
Well,
think is pretty
A lot of
impressive.
it too is gonna be dictated by the retailer, and we did this 90-day discovery process, which we're gonna identify, between 30 and 50 retailers, restaurants, that we're like, okay, these are the first phone calls that we're making, and we're gonna come present that to you. We're gonna say, here's who we're going after, but then we're also going to approach retailers and say, what do you think about this market? And you'd be amazed at how many retailers and restaurants have looked at markets that we work with, the city had no idea anybody was ever there, because they wanna come in under the cloak of darkness. They don't want to meet typically with anyone, any leader of the community. They wanna come in, identify what's going on, and then try to put a site under contract. But yes, sir, that would be all given to you really roughly about 90 days after the start of the partnership. And just the way it sets up this year, if you guys wanted to move forward with us in the short term, we have some conferences coming up that we already have meetings scheduled with retailers that should be considering this market. So immediately getting in front of them and showing them sites, that's incredibly important. It's not the end of the world. If your fiscal year start date, I know, is in October, if this has to wait until then, you're not behind the 8 ball, you're not, shooting yourself in the foot. At the end of the day, though, there are opportunities that are just around the door, the corner, that would be great to be involved in, if that's, the motivation that you guys have. But again, this is not incredibly time sensitive.
The last thing, as sort of a comment question, then we need to move on. You also would be able to lend advice on what should and should not be offered by way of city resources. In other words, company ABC would look for this from a city before they would relocate. So you can help us with that as well, right?
Absolutely. And
Okay.
incentive is the word that
Right.
it's not great to speak in councils, but
Right.
Incentives are sometimes becoming the norm in major projects. We've helped the city of Tuscaloosa through an incentive. We've helped multiple communities across the southeast and have saved our clients somewhere to the tune of about $50 million between what was asked and what was passed. Because what we look at is page number 6, as you just said. What is the incremental value? If you have academy sports and you're recruiting into sporting goods,
appreciate you taking the time to drive.
Yeah,
up and
thanks.
visit with us.
So if y'all have any questions, please give me a call. I'll be happy to answer, but I really appreciate the privilege of being here and look forward to hearing back from you guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
All right, next on our agenda, and let me say this, the next on our agenda is the discussion and the vote of 2 board members for the Board of Education. Now, when we talk about increasing our sales tax revenue, you know, that's a citywide benefit, a function of how government operates, but it also helps our school system. You know, money into the schools, into the city of Tuscumbia is a function of money that goes to our school system. Property taxes increase, and in the end, you know, we all benefit from it. So I want to say that I am pleasantly surprised at the amount of interest in our Board of Education spot. You know, this being my first appointment to that, I wasn't prepared for it, and it's a good thing, because when we look at the health of a city, if it doesn't start with the Board of Education, it'll finish with it, and sometimes it's all along the way. Our school system, what we offer for young families, is important to the health of a vibrant city and town. And so I'm grateful to know that there's so many people who are interested in this spot, because it's I would assume, Mr. Akerson, that it's probably not the easiest position to have, you know, based on the importance of it and who all it affects. And so I'm grateful to know that people are this interested in it. It makes me proud to be your mayor. And that being the case, I want to say that we had several applicants. Was it 7? I think I counted 7. 7 applicants that are all high quality. Each one could easily serve in this spot and could serve it very well and to the betterment of not only our city but our students as well. And so what we're going to do is the council has had a chance to look through them, and this is not something we do during the work session. I will say that we have Mr. Frederick Williams. His term expires May the 1st, which is today, and we're going to do these in order. We'll start with Mr. Williams, and we will nominate and vote and appoint that position. And then after that, Dr. McElwain has resigned effective May the 30th, and so that one is the one that's different, you know, the one that's not the normal ending time frame of 5 years. So we'll handle it secondly, and we'll do it the exact same way. There is a correction I want to make. It says the unexpired term of Mark McElwain beginning May 30, 2017 through May 1, 2022. That's May 1, 2021. So that's the only change I want to make to that. So we're going to handle those in order. First one is the expiring term of Mr. Williams, and second is the resigned position of Dr. McElwain. Okay, do y'all have anything you want to talk about as a council about how that process works before we get to it? We'll take a nomination and a second. If there is no second, we'll have another nomination, and then we'll vote, and it'll go from there. Okay, does that make sense? Everybody understand? Okay. Number 4 is a commission that I'm reactivating. It's the Tuscumbia Historical Preservation Commission. That is a 9-seat appointment, and per our operating bylaws, the mayor appoints and the council ratifies. And I have with your packet the applications of the ones that I am suggesting for appointment, and I'll read them out for the people here and the people watching to know. H. Stewart Chappell, Jackie Witt, and Bill Johnson. Those 3 are for one-year term each. Ron Hudson, Lisa Pace, Nadina Joy Stone, those are for 2 years each. And then Ninon Parker, Dr. Lisa Grace Minor, and Mary Beth Bernowski are for 3 years each. And that board has been, it's been an active board in the past. Do you know how long it's been inactive? Miss Joanne, do you know it's been 5 years, 10 years? Somewhere along in that, no, we don't really know. It was active when you came? Okay, so somewhere in that range. And I think based on the importance of what Tuscumbia holds dear, that this particular commission needs to be in place and needs to be functioning. So those are the ones that I'm recommending, and the council will vote to ratify those. Any discussion about that? You want to talk about that any? Okay. All right. Number 5 is our discussion of the 2017 back-to-school sales tax holiday. It is resolution number 17-008. And you have that resolution in your packet along with some information from the state of Alabama about what is and is not exempt. Basically, Section 1 says the city of Tuscumbia, Alabama exempts covered items, which you have listed there, from municipal sales and use tax during the third full weekend of July, beginning at midnight or 12:01 on Friday, July 21st, and ending at midnight on Sunday, July 23rd. So we want to go ahead and get this in place early enough to where all of our retailers will know what's in place and what's exempt and what's not, so that we'll have time to do that before July 21 gets here. Any questions about how that works? Should I read who our applications are for all boards that we're voting on tonight?
You won't be too long, members of the council should have those.
Okay, okay, all right, very good. Okay, that will be the end of our work session agenda. Is Miss Dixie here? Was she not gonna make a presentation?
She left.
She left?
She left us.
Okay, that was it, okay, all right, very good. I thought she wanted to say something, okay. All right. Anything from the floor pertaining to the items that are on the agenda? Anyone from the floor that want to say anything or have any questions for the council at this time? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My name is Steve Finch. I'm from District 1, and I'd like to pass out my resume. Excuse me. I wanted to express my interest, as I already have with the application in the school board position. Just a little bit about my background. I've actually been a member of the city council in the past, so I understand from that aspect how we interact with and rely upon the Board of Education. The Board of Education inversely relies on the city. In addition to that, I've got over 25 years' experience in manufacturing, management, and handling budgets and personnel, both interviewing, hiring, developing people. And I think as we talk about the board position, I think that's, we should all agree that it's, the students is our priority. And as we develop both teachers and administrators, empower administrators to be able to do their job, I feel like that's a big part of what the board should be charged with. I'm open to answer any questions you might have, but I did want to speak briefly and let you know my sincere interest. I've had 2 children to go through Deshler, through the whole school system. I went through the school system, and I've got a 13-year-old right now that's in, so I've got, I'm invested in the schools, and I feel like it's very important that we have people in position, and I know the candidates, all the candidates, and all of them, like you said, are very qualified.
Yeah.
So, I know you won't make a bad decision with whichever candidate it is, but I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Come on, Brian.
Get behind this microphone. Most people know me, know microphone's one of the last things that I need, so I appreciate this opportunity. I want to first say that I'm humbled by the opportunity to talk to y'all about a position in this community that means so much and that has been so well cared for. And I would like to give a tip of the hat to the current board, the current superintendent, and those in the past who have put this school system
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we will now go into our general session. We'll start with the invocation, and that'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. You wanna do it? Okay. Let's have a word of prayer. I thank you, God, for your wisdom. I thank you for your blessings, and I thank you for Tuscumbia. Pray, God, that we will continue to do everything that you have it in your will for us to do to make Tuscumbia the town it needs to be for the people who live here. Thank you for this privilege and for the sacred vow that we made to be mayor and council members for this great city. So now, God, I pray that you'd be with us during this council meeting as we vote and as we continue throughout the next 3 years. God, that we would make this an honor for you. And I pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, with the meeting called to order, after the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Foster, our roll call is we're all present and accounting for with absent Councilmember Logan. First on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. I need a motion and a second to adopt them as presented.
I make a motion to adopt the minutes.
Councilmember Foster makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Councilmember Tompkins makes the second. Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. And that motion carries. Earlier during the work session, we had the proclamation of May 1 through May 6 as Epsilon Sigma Alpha Week, and that went very well. Appreciate that organization for what they do and who they do it for as well. Moving down to Roman numeral number 9, we had our discussion for the petition of annexation, Benjamin Douglas and Ashley Wilson at 2197 Old Memphis Road. I will need a motion and a second if we are to accept the petition for annexation.
I'll make a motion to accept the petition for annexation.
Motion from Councilmember Smart,
I second.
second from Councilmember Isom. Any more discussion? That was at 2197 Old Memphis Road. Any more discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. That motion carries. We had a discussion from Retail Strategies about business recruitment. I appreciate him taking the time, Mr. Matt Petro, to come up and do that discussion for us, and we will make that part of our agenda in the coming weeks. Next is our Tuscumbia Board of Education. I want to start with Mr. Williams, as his position is coming due based on filling of the term. I do have a letter of recommendation from Superintendent Akerson for him. I want to make mention of that. You have that in your packet as well. But we take a nomination for that position as it stands. So do I have a nomination, and then we'll proceed from that point?
I'll make a nomination for Mr. Williams to have his term reapplied.
Okay, I have a nomination from Councilmember Foster,
I second.
a second from Councilmember Tompkins. Any discussion before we vote on the expired term of Mr. Williams? All right, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor for his reappointment, would you signify by saying aye?
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Congratulations, sir. Next, for the unexpired term of Mark McElwain, whose term his resignation is effective anytime up to May the 30th for the unexpired term that ends May 1, 2021. You have the packets of information and the applicants that are in your packet. We had 2 to speak for us. We have others that are here as well. So after looking through those, I will take a nomination from the floor.
I make a motion to appoint Steve Finch.
Okay? I have a nomination for, let me put this down, for Mr. Finch. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Councilmember Smart. Any more discussion? Okay, call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. The motion carries. Congratulations. Next is the Tuscumbia Historical Preservation Commission, the reenactment of that board. 9 appointments. You have the applications in your packet and the names that we called out with the terms that were assigned by me. I'll take a motion and a second for ratification.
I'll make a motion for ratification.
Thank you. Councilmember Smart made the motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Councilmember Tompkins makes the second. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. That motion carries as well. Next is the Back to School Sales Tax Holiday Resolution Number 17-008, as presented and discussed. I will take a motion in a second if we are to enact that resolution.
I make a motion.
Motion from Councilmember Isom. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Councilmember Tompkins. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. That motion carries. Okay, I have nothing else. That completes our agenda, so I'll take a motion in a second to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Councilmember Foster makes the motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Tompkins. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. I want to thank y'all for being here. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you folks for watching us on Facebook Live as well. I appreciate your attendance as well.
What's tough is